You didn't stumble on this video by accident. Something deeper than coincidence brought you here. Your field, your awareness. Your very frequency magnetized this message into your timeline, and here's why. The explanation you've been given about the observer effect is incomplete. For years, you've been told that attention creates reality, that what you focus on, you manifest. It sounds simple, almost magical, but if that were the whole truth, wouldn't every vision board already be fulfilled? Wouldn't every affirmation have manifested? The missing piece is this: observation alone cannot create. It can only collapse. Think of the observer effect like a spotlight shining on a stage. Wherever you direct the light, the scene becomes visible, but the spotlight doesn't write the script. It doesn't change the actors. It simply reveals what's already unfolding. In the same way, your observation doesn't create new frequencies. It collapses existing ones into your lived experience. That's why you've felt stuck in repeating loops. You visualize change, yet the same patterns return. You focus on abundance, yet scarcity reappears. It's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because observation without embodiment only illuminates the old program running beneath the surface. 1. This is the hidden key you're about to unlock. Reality doesn't shift because you watch it harder. Reality shifts when you embody a different frequency, when you become the script instead of just the spotlight. As you hear these words, something within you is already recognizing this truth. A subtle stirring, a knowing that you are not just the observer of reality, you are its origin point. And once you see this, your shift becomes irreversible. The observer effect is one of the most misunderstood bridges between physics and spirituality. People hear that attention creates reality and assume their gaze magically manufactures outcomes. In truth, observation doesn't create, it collapses. Before observation, reality lives as probability waves, many possible versions of an event. When observation occurs, uncertainty narrows into one concrete experience. Imagine a deck of cards. All ranks and suits are present. Drawing a card doesn't create a king of hearts. It reveals one possibility from the set. Or picture a spotlight in a theater. It doesn't write dialogue or cast actors. It merely lights the scene that was already unfolding. Observation works the same way. It unveils, not authors. This distinction explains why will-powerful staring, vision boards, and endless affirmations often fail. If your nervous system is still broadcasting fear, scarcity, or unworthiness, observation collapses into experiences that match those embodied signals. The field mirrors your being, not your slogans. So the question becomes, what determines which subset of possibilities you keep collapsing? When you embody coherence, with heart and mind synchronized, new regions of the deck become available. When you embody old survival patterns, you keep drawing from the same narrow strip. Observation is real and powerful, yet it is a selector, not a creator. Until this lands, you'll confuse collapse with creation and wonder why circumstances repeat. Let it land now. Observation illuminates the script you're already performing. Change the script. Change your embodied frequency. And the collapse reveals a different scene. Creation begins earlier. In silence, as being, observation simply delivers that being into form as your lived experience each day. One of the biggest traps in the spiritual community is the belief that observation itself equals creation. People hear about the observer effect and conclude, if I just look at what I want long enough, it will appear. But this misunderstanding is exactly why so many seekers stay stuck in repeating loops. Observation doesn't create, it only collapses. Yet countless manifestation teachings present observation as a kind of magic wand. You're told to visualize the car, the house, the relationship, And if you hold the picture in your mind, reality will bend. But what happens instead? The car doesn't show up. The house feels further away. The relationship keeps mirroring old wounds. The result is frustration and self-blame. People assume they did it wrong, when in truth they were using the wrong mechanism. Think of it like watching a movie screen. Your gaze can light up a scene, but it doesn't rewrite the script. If the film reel is loaded with a story of lack, heartbreak, or limitation, then no matter how intently you stare, that's what plays out. Observation amplifies what's already encoded. It doesn't rewrite the code itself. This is why people often feel trapped in déjà vu-like cycles. 1. They observe abundance but collapse scarcity. They observe love but collapse rejection. They observe freedom but collapse limitation. The spotlight of attention keeps landing on the same program, because the frequency running beneath it hasn't changed. The mistake isn't in observing, it's in expecting observation alone to originate reality. Creation begins earlier, in the frequency you embody, not in the gaze you cast. Until this shift is recognized, seekers will keep mistaking collapse for creation, wondering why the universe doesn't respond. The truth, it is responding perfectly to the frequency you are, not the image you watch. When observation is mistaken for creation, the consequence is simple but devastating. Life begins to loop. You may try to manifest change, but instead, you find yourself circling the same patterns, different faces, same energy, new chapters, same storyline. This is the hidden trap of the misunderstood observer effect. Think of it like a broken record. The needle moves, but it stays caught in the same groove, no matter how intently you listen. The melody doesn't change. Observation keeps collapsing possibilities into that same groove, because the underlying frequency, the record itself, hasn't shifted. This explains why so many people feel déjà vu in their relationships, careers, or personal struggles. They meet someone new, but the same heartbreak unfolds. They switch jobs, but the same frustration returns. They move cities, but the same emptiness follows. On the surface, things look different. Underneath, the loop persists. And here's the painful part. The more effort you apply through observation alone, the stronger the loop becomes. Energy goes where attention flows. So when your attention is unconsciously aligned with fear, lack, or doubt, you amplify those tracks. Observation strengthens the very program you're trying to escape. The field is not punishing you. It is simply mirroring you. Reality reflects back the frequency you embody, not the one you wish for, not the one you try to stare into existence, but the one vibrating in your system right now. Until this is seen, seekers get stuck in endless cycles, thinking manifestation doesn't work for them. But the truth is harsher and liberating. Manifestation always works. It works perfectly. It collapses your embodied frequency into form every single time. Here's the subtle danger of relying on observation alone when it's unconscious. It doesn't open new doors, it locks you into the same hallway. Observation without awareness creates what quantum theorists call a reality feedback loop. Instead of breaking cycles, you unknowingly reinforce them. Think of it like tuning into a radio station. If your dial is set to a channel of fear or scarcity, then every time you observe reality, you amplify that exact broadcast. You're not creating something new, you're strengthening the frequency that was already dominant. Observation becomes an echo chamber, bouncing back the same notes again and again. This is why so many people feel trapped. They wake up each day, scan their environment, and unconsciously confirm what they expect to see. The same bills, the same arguments, the same limitations. Their attention collapses probabilities into familiar patterns, not because those are the only options, but because those are the ones their frequency magnetizes. The cruel irony is that the more you fight against what you see, the more energy you give it. Complaining, obsessing, or worrying is still observation. It's just negative observation, and the field doesn't discriminate. It reflects the frequency, not the judgment. So fear observed becomes fear embodied. And fear embodied becomes fear collapsed into form, until awareness intervenes. Observation alone is like a wheel spinning in mud. You move energy, but you don't move forward. Consciousness mistakes activity for creation. But it's only repetition. The loop doesn't break because observation is still tethered to the old script. The truth is this: observation without embodiment isn't neutral. It is generative, but it generates more of the same. And this is why awareness is the missing ingredient that shifts observation from a trap into a tool. Let's take a simple but universal example. Money worries. Imagine someone who spends their days obsessing over bills, debts, and the fear of not having enough. Each glance at a bank account, each anxious calculation is an act of observation. And every act of observation collapses probabilities. But because the underlying frequency is fear, those collapses keep pulling reality into the same scarcity track. The field doesn't respond to numbers on a screen. It responds to the vibration behind your gaze. When you look at your account with dread, you amplify dread. When you focus on bills with stress, you amplify stress. Reality simply mirrors the signal. So instead of attracting relief or opportunity, the act of watching scarcity manifests more scarcity. This is why cycles of worry feel endless. The more energy you pour into noticing the problem, the stronger the problem becomes. Worry doesn't just describe reality, it programs it. Observation without coherence is like watering weeds. You think you're being attentive, but you're feeding the very thing you want to escape. And it's not just money. The same loop plays out in love, health, or self-image. Someone afraid of rejection keeps noticing subtle signs of abandonment, and their observation amplifies those signs into lived experience. Someone fearing illness keeps scanning their body for symptoms, and the act of scanning reinforces imbalance. Attention collapses whatever is most charged emotionally, especially fear. This is the overlooked law. You cannot think, or observe a frequency you still embody. Fear observed becomes fear embodied, and fear embodied collapses, fear into form, until the underlying state shifts. Observation only multiplies the worry. That's why manifestation often feels like law of opposites. You get more of what you resist. In truth, it's just quantum mechanics reflecting your vibration with perfect fidelity. The essential truth is this: observation doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to what you are. Your eyes may focus on a vision of abundance, but if your body is vibrating in fear, the collapse follows fear. Attention acts like an amplifier. It magnifies the underlying broadcast already active in your system. So, think of your being as a radio tower. The tower doesn't transmit the song you wish for. It transmits the signal currently running through it. Observation is like turning up the volume. Whatever frequency is active: joy, love, fear, doubt. Observation makes it louder. And once amplified, that frequency dominates the collapse into physical experience. This explains why people so often feel betrayed by manifestation teachings. They visualize joy but collapse loneliness. They focus on freedom but collapse more limitation. They pour energy into vision boards and affirmations, yet reality mirrors back the opposite. The reason isn't failure, it's fidelity. The field mirrors you with perfect accuracy. Observation faithfully amplifies the vibration you embody, even when it conflicts with your conscious intentions. And here's the paradox. The harder you try to watch a desired outcome into existence, the more power you give to the hidden frequency beneath. If lack is the real signal, then focusing harder on abundance just shines a brighter spotlight on lack. The collapse intensifies the very pattern you're trying to transcend. This is why awareness and embodiment matter so deeply. Observation without alignment is blind amplification. But once you shift your embodied state, once coherence becomes your baseline, then observation transforms. It stops amplifying the old loop and begins amplifying the new frequency. At that point, manifestation feels effortless, not forced. Because the spotlight is finally shining on a script you've already chosen to live. Before the wave collapses, something deeper happens, what I call quantum selection. This is the silent moment when consciousness decides which frequency it will operate from. Most people never notice this stage, because they rush straight to observation. But the field doesn't respond to what you look at. It responds to what you've already chosen to embody. Think of quantum selection like loading the film reel before the spotlight shines. The reel determines what story can even appear on the stage. If the reel is encoded with scarcity, the spotlight only reveals scarcity scenes. If the reel is encoded with love, the spotlight reveals love. The choice of reel your frequency is made before you open your eyes to observe. This explains why two people can look at the same situation and collapse radically different realities. One sees opportunity. The other sees failure. One feels expansion. The other feels fear. They are not collapsing the same wave, because they made different selections before observation. Quantum selection doesn't happen through effortful thought. It happens in the stillness between thoughts. In the state your nervous system is resting in, fear makes one choice. Coherence makes another. That pre-collapse selection determines which probabilities are even available for observation to collapse. End of fatal. And here's the key. You are not powerless in this stage. By shifting your embodied frequency through breath, surrender, or coherence practices, you rewrite the reel. And once the reel is rewritten, observation stops being a trap of repetition and becomes a gateway into new reality. Embodiment is the missing step most people overlook. Before you observe, before you visualize, before you even declare what you want, your body has already chosen a frequency, and that frequency is what the field responds to. Observation is simply the echo. Think of embodiment as tuning your instrument before the performance. If the guitar is out of tune, no matter what song you play, it will sound distorted. In the same way, if your nervous system is tuned to fear or doubt, every observation you make collapses reality through that distortion. This is why affirmations sometimes feel empty. You can say, "I am abundant," 1,000 times. But if your body is humming with anxiety about bills, the field doesn't hear the words, it hears the vibration. Words are surface. Frequency is source. True manifestation begins when you embody the state of being that matches the reality you desire. You don't just think abundance, you breathe it. Feel it. Walk as if it's already alive within you. You don't just picture love, you open your chest, soften your body, and emanate the frequency of connection. And when embodiment shifts, observation becomes powerful. The spotlight now reveals a new script because the reel has been replaced. You're no longer collapsing waves from fear. You're collapsing waves from coherence. This is the hidden sequence. Embodiment first, observation second, and verse. And once you truly live this order, you realize why the observer effect was never the full story. Creation doesn't begin when you look, it begins when you become. Both modern science and ancient mysticism point toward the same hidden layer. Reality doesn't shift at the level of observation, but at the level of being. Physics calls it superposition and collapse. Spiritual traditions call it state of consciousness. Différent langage? Same truth. The field mirrors what you embody. not what you wish. Zach. Quantum mechanics teaches that before collapse, particles exist in a cloud of probabilities. Observation narrows them into one event. But mystics go further, before you even observe. Your inner state determines which set of probabilities are available. This is what sages meant when they said, as within, so without. It isn't metaphor, it's mechanics. 0. Science shows us the rules of collapse. Mysticism reveals the rules of selection, and when you combine them, the picture becomes whole. Reality is not created by looking at it, but by the frequency you embody before you look. Observation is the final step, not the first. And think of it like a holographic glass. Most people only see the shattered fragments, each observation, a shard reflecting part of the whole. But once you embody coherence, the glass reveals its hidden image. You don't just see pieces, you see the pattern that was there all along. Ezer. This is the hidden layer both physicists and mystics have circled around. That true creation arises from alignment. Science shows the mechanism, mysticism shows the practice. Together, they confirm what you already feel stirring in your being, that the observer effect is just the shadow. The real power lives in the silent, embodied choice that comes before it. And here is the radical truth. Reality doesn't shift because you watch it harder. Reality shifts because you become something different. Observation is only the mirror, but embodiment is the source until you step into being. The mirror has no choice but to reflect the same image back at you. Imagine standing in front of a mirror. You can stare at it all day, wishing for the reflection to smile, but unless you smile, the reflection never changes. The observer effect works in the same way. Watching doesn't create the smile. Becoming does. This is why so many seekers feel trapped. They meditate, visualize, and focus intently on their desires, only to find themselves in the same struggles. It's not because they're weak or the universe is withholding. It's because they're still trying to watch their way into creation, instead of embodying their way into it. Reality is like a quantum mirror. It reflects your frequency with ruthless precision. Fear in, fear out. Love in, love out. Coherence in, coherence out. There's no negotiation. The mirror doesn't bend to what you wish. It bends to what you are. And here's the empowering shift. You don't need to manipulate the mirror. You only need to become the version of yourself you long to see reflected. When you embody abundance, the mirror shows abundance. When you embody freedom, the mirror shows freedom. When you embody wholeness, reality confirms it without delay. Creation, then, is not a matter of staring harder. It is a matter of aligning deeper. Observation is the echo. Being is the origin. The moment you recognize this, you step out of the futile effort of watching and into the effortless flow of being. The quantum mirror doesn't lie. It doesn't reflect what you imagine, what you hope for, or what you pretend to believe. It reflects only the frequency you have truly embodied. This is why reality often feels cruel. It shows you not your wishes, but your essence. You can visualize love all day, but if your body is still vibrating with fear of abandonment, the mirror will show situations that confirm abandonment. You can affirm abundance every morning, but if your nervous system is humming with scarcity, the mirror will faithfully return scarcity. The field doesn't respond to surface words or pictures, it responds to the vibration underneath them. Think of it like sound waves hitting water. The ripples don't follow what the sound intended to play, they follow the actual frequency that entered. If the tone is dissonant, the ripples distort. If the tone is pure, the ripples flow in harmony. Reality behaves the same way. This truth explains why people often experience the opposite of what they consciously focus on. They don't understand that consciousness operates in layers. The surface layer, the thoughts and images, is weak compared to the embodied layer, the emotions. The nervous system, the felt sense of being, the mirror always prioritizes the deepest signal. Nah, this may sound harsh at first, but it's actually liberating. Because once you understand that only your embodied frequency is reflected, you stop wasting energy trying to trick the mirror with words. Instead, you start tuning the instrument of your being, and when your state aligns, the mirror shifts effortlessly, showing you the version of reality that was waiting for you all along. Here is the turning point. The declaration that changes everything. Observation without embodiment is illusion. You can stare at the field, visualize endlessly. Repeat affirmations until your voice breaks, but if you haven't shifted your being, you are only painting illusions on glass. They look convincing, but when you reach out to touch them, nothing solid is there. Think of it like projecting an image onto a screen. The picture is vivid, colorful, alive, but it's light, not substance, without embodiment. Observation is projection. It shows you an idea, not a reality, and that's why so many seekers feel disillusioned. They projected visions without shifting vibration. Show life felt like chasing shadows. Embodiment is what makes the illusion collapse into matter. It's the difference between pretending to smile and actually feeling joy rise in your chest. The universe doesn't respond to masks, it responds to essence. And the moment you embody the frequency, the illusion dissolves and reality congeals around the truth of your being. This is why countless people say, "I tried manifesting, and it didn't work." In truth, it did work. It faithfully mirrored the frequency they embodied, not the words they spoke. The law never fails. Only the understanding does. So let this declaration echo in you. Observation without embodiment is illusion. Creation requires both. First, the silent choice of frequency embodied, then the collapse through observation. When the order is reversed, reality stays hollow. But when the order is honored, reality becomes undeniable. Your power isn't in watching harder. It's in becoming deeper. Because what you embody is unarguable to the field. It is the frequency that writes reality itself. Here's the hidden truth that most people overlook. The quantum field does not respond to passive attention. It responds to coherence. Staring harder at your vision board, repeating affirmations, or endlessly observing possibilities does not move the field. What moves the field is when your heart, mind, and body broadcast the same frequency in harmony. That alignment is coherence. And coherence is magnetic. Man, think of it like an orchestra. If each instrument plays a different tune, the sound is chaotic. That chaos has no power to move an audience. But when all instruments synchronize into harmony, the effect is undeniable. You feel it in your body. The quantum field reacts the same way. When your thoughts say one thing, your emotions feel another, and your body carries yet another vibration. The signal is scattered. Nothing shifts. But when they align, the field resonates back instantly. Science confirms this. Studies on heart-brain synchronization show that when the heart and mind enter coherence, the nervous system stabilizes, stress dissolve, and the body generates measurable electromagnetic harmony. That harmony influences not only your inner state but also the probabilities available in the field around you. End quote. This is why people who embody coherence often seem lucky or magnetic. Opportunities find them, synchronicities align. It's not random chance. It's resonance. The field is responding to the unified signal they broadcast. So remember, attention without coherence is static. It flickers. It scatters. It doesn't move reality. But coherent embodiment is a tuning fork that vibrates the field into alignment. The universe doesn't respond to how long you stare at the dream. It responds to how deeply you harmonize with it. When the heart and brain synchronize, something extraordinary happens. Your entire system begins broadcasting a coherent signal that reorganizes both your inner state and the probabilities around you. This is more than a spiritual idea. It's measurable science. Neuroscience shows that when the heart's rhythm becomes steady and the brain waves align, stress hormone is dropped, immune function strengthens, and the nervous system stabilizes. In this state, the body isn't stuck in survival, it shifts into creation. The field receives a clear, unified broadcast, like a tuning fork striking a pure note. Think of it this way. The heart is the drum. The brain is the melody. When they play out of sync, the music is chaotic. But when rhythm and melody unite, the song becomes powerful, moving, unforgettable. The quantum field listens. In the same way it resonates only with coherence. This synchronization doesn't just change your biology, it changes your timeline. People often describe sudden synchronicities, breakthroughs, or opportunities appearing after entering deep heart-brain coherence. It's not magic, it's mechanics. A coherent signal attracts coherent outcomes. In short, coherence writes new patterns into both your body and your life. The heart sets the rhythm, the brain harmonizes, and the universe responds. When you live in this state, you don't force reality, you invite it into resonance. To shift into coherence, you don't need a complex ritual. Sometimes, 3 conscious breaths are enough to reset your entire field. This simple micro-practice works because breath is the bridge between the body and the field, the nervous system and consciousness. Here's how to try it. Place your hand on your heart. Inhale slowly, as if you're breathing directly into your chest. Exhale gently, letting your shoulders soften. Repeat 3 times, but with full awareness, each breath carrying the silent intention, I am coherent with my highest timeline. That, with each inhale, you are pulling your scattered energy back into the center. With each exhale, you are releasing the static of doubt, fear, or urgency. In just moments, your system shifts from survival into alignment. The field registers this new signal instantly because the heart's rhythm is one of the strongest electromagnetic broadcasts the body produces. This practice may seem small, but don't underestimate it. It's like striking a tuning fork. The vibration ripples outward, realigning both your inner state and the probabilities you collapse into. 3 breaths may sound simple, but simplicity is the doorway to power. Every time you catch yourself looping in worry or over-observation, pause. 3 breaths into the heart. Reset. Realign. This micro-practice is a reminder that you don't have to fight for coherence. You only have to return to it. Every quantum shift follows the same hidden sequence. Awareness. Surrender. Embodiment. Miss 1 step, and the loop continues. Honor the sequence, and reality bends. It begins with awareness. You can't change a frequency, you can't feel. This is where you notice the loop without judgment, the thought of lack, the sensation of fear, the contraction in your body. Awareness is like turning on the light in a dark room. Suddenly, you see what has been running unconsciously. Next comes surrender. This is the step most people skip, because it feels counterintuitive. We are taught to fight fear, suppress doubt, or resist scarcity, but resistance keeps the loop alive. Surrender means letting the energy pass through without clinging to it. It's the moment you stop wrestling and allow the old signal to dissolve. You don't fix it, you release it. Finally comes embodiment. Once the static clears, you consciously step into the frequency you choose. You breathe it, move with it, speak from it, Live as if it's already real. Embodiment is not pretending it's aligning, and alignment makes the field respond instantly because you are no longer sending mixed signals. I think of it like clearing static from a radio. Awareness detects the noise, surrender turns the dial, embodiment locks in the station. Now, the music plays clearly. Reality collapses according to the song you've tuned into. This sequence awareness, surrender. Embodiment is the hidden ritual behind every true shift, not a philosophy, but a mechanics of being. Master it, and the observer effect stops repeating your past. Instead, it becomes the mirror of your chosen frequency, collapsing new timelines into form. One of the simplest ways to shift from awareness into embodiment is through a small but powerful ritual: write and release. This practice interrupts the loop, clears static from your field, and anchors a new frequency. Here's how to do it. Take a blank sheet of paper. Write down the loop you want to break. Maybe it's a fear, a belief, or a repeating thought. Keep it simple. This loop ends now. Once the words are on paper, pause, feel them. Acknowledge that this pattern has been active, and that by naming it, you have brought it into awareness. Now comes surrender. Tear the paper into pieces, or burn it safely in a candle flame. As you release the paper, whisper, "I release this frequency from my field." This act is symbolic, but don't underestimate it. The nervous system responds to physical gestures. By writing, you externalize the old frequency. By destroying the paper, you signal to your body that the loop no longer has authority. What was unconscious becomes conscious, and then it dissolves. Immediately after, shift into embodiment. Close your eyes. Place your hand on your chest and declare out loud, "I embody the frequency of my highest timeline." Let your breath deepen as you say it. In that moment, you are no longer trapped in the loop you've chosen coherence. This micro practice can be done anytime you feel stuck or cycling back into old patterns. It reminds your system that creation doesn't happen by observing the loop. It happens by releasing it and stepping into the state you've chosen. Simple, physical, powerful, awareness, surrender, embodiment, all in one ritual. Words carry power, but when spoken from embodiment, they become keys. One of the most potent mantras for aligning your field is simple yet transformative. I am coherent with my highest timeline. Hence, this mantra works because it bypasses passive wishing and anchors you directly into alignment. You are not saying, "I want abundance," or "I will be free." Those phrases point to a future you don't yet embody. But "I am coherent with my highest timeline" declares that you are already living in resonance with your truest possibility now. Here's how to use it. Place your hand on your heart. Breathe slowly and deeply. On each exhale, say the mantra softly, allowing the words to vibrate through your chest. Repeat it at least 3 times, not as repetition, but as embodiment. Feel your breath, your heart rhythm, and your words fall into harmony. With practice, this phrase becomes a tuning fork, drawing your body, mind, and emotions into coherence. The beauty of this mantra is its simplicity. You don't need complex visualization or elaborate rituals. 3 breaths, 1 declaration, and your entire system realigns. And the more often you return to it, the more natural coherence becomes. The mantra isn't just words, it's a reminder of who you are beyond the loop, a being capable of embodying the highest timeline in every moment. Every shift you make within yourself ripples far beyond your personal life. When you embody a new frequency, you don't just change your own timeline, you contribute to the collective field, This is what mystics and scientists alike are beginning to recognize. Consciousness is not isolated. It is interconnected. Leng, think of a single drop falling into a still pond. The ripples don't stop at the point of impact, they expand outward, touching the entire surface. Your embodied coherence works the same way. The frequency you hold sends waves into the morphic field, influencing those around you, whether they are conscious of it or not. This explains why being around certain people feels uplifting, while others feel draining. You are not only exchanging words, you are exchanging resonance. A single person living in coherence can shift the atmosphere of an entire room, not through effort, but through presence. That, on a larger scale, when more individuals embody higher frequencies, the collective begins to tilt. Synchronicities increase. Compassion deepens. And collective systems start to reorganize. What seems like global awakening is really the sum of countless personal awakenings rippling into resonance together. The empowering truth is this: your personal shift matters far more than you realize. It's not just self-help, it's planetary help. By choosing coherence, you seed coherence in the field. By embodying love, you amplify love in the collective. So the next time you wonder if your practice is working, remember this: every breath you take into coherence, every surrender, every embodiment sends ripples into the ocean of humanity, and together, those ripples converge into waves strong enough to rewrite reality for all. Have you ever wondered why you are drawn to messages like this? Why not everyone, but you, find yourself here, listening, feeling a spark of recognition? It is because you are among the ones chosen not by chance, not by accident, but by resonance. Your field is ready to break free from the observer trap. Most of humanity still lives unconsciously, collapsing the same loops again and again, mistaking observation for creation. They don't even realize they are repeating. But the fact that you can see the loop means something inside you has already awakened. Awareness itself is proof that you are no longer trapped blindly. This is what makes you different. You are willing to look deeper. You are willing to question the illusion, and that willingness is rare. It marks you as someone destined to shift, not just for yourself, but for the collective, because when one person escapes the trap, the field ripples, and countless others feel the resonance of freedom. Being chosen isn't about superiority. It's about readiness. It's about having reached the point where staying in the old loop feels unbearable, and breaking free becomes inevitable. The calling has been placed in your path, and you answered it by being here. So claim it, declare it. You are the one breaking the observer trap in your lineage, in your community, in the very fabric of the collective field. Your embodiment opens the door that others will walk through. And once you've seen the illusion, you can never unsee it. Your shift is irreversible, and your role is undeniable. Awakening is not a private event, it is a collective phenomenon. When you embody a new frequency, you don't just liberate yourself. You contribute to the awakening of humanity. Embodiment is the spark that ignites resonance in the collective field, creating ripples that awaken others without a single word spoken. Imagine a dark room where only one candle is lit. The flame doesn't need to shout, it simply burns, and its light touches everyone around it. Embodiment works the same way. Your coherence, your presence, your lived frequency becomes light in the field. And once light appears, darkness cannot remain the same. This is how collective awakening unfolds, not through convincing or forcing, but through resonance. One embodied being lifts the vibration of many, and as more candles ignite, the room becomes brighter, until the collective field itself tips into a new state of consciousness. You may think your practice is small, 3 breaths. A mantra is a quiet act of surrender, but these acts echo beyond you. They ripple into families, communities, and generations. Each time you embody your highest timeline, you shift the morphic resonance of humanity itself. This is why your embodiment matters. It is not just self-help, it is service. The collective doesn't awaken through theories or speeches. It awakens through beings who live the new frequency so fully that others remember it within themselves. So let this truth settle deeply. Your embodiment is not only for you, it is the key that unlocks the door of awakening for all, and as you walk through, you leave it open behind you for countless others to follow. Now you see the hidden truth. The observer effect alone cannot create reality. Observation collapse possibilities. But it is embodiment that writes the script. Watching harder doesn't shift timelines, becoming does. Your reality mirrors not your wishes, but your frequency, and when you embody coherence, you stop repeating the old loop and start living the new one. This is the key you were meant to unlock, not to keep staring at the mirror, hoping it will change, but to change yourself so that the mirror has no choice but to reflect something new. The field doesn't respond to your effort, it responds to your alignment. So here is your invitation. Stop chasing. Stop over-observing. Stop fighting the loop. Instead, breathe into your heart. Choose surrender. Choose coherence. Choose to embody the frequency of your highest timeline, and let the universe mirror it back to you. And here is your declaration. I am no longer trapped in the observer loop. I embody my highest frequency, and my reality reflects it now. Write it, speak it, comment it. Let it become a living mantra, not just words on a screen. Every time you declare it, you strengthen the signal, and as your signal strengthens, the field responds. Your shift is not in the future, it begins the moment you become. Step into it now. Let your embodiment ripple outward into the collective. You are not just observing reality anymore. You are authoring it.